What's up, everybody? Jason Guyman here tonight, and tonight we're going to talk about how and answer your questions for pressure washing business in 2025. And so this might be some of the questions that I have and I'm going to bring up. And if you have questions, you can, if you're watching the replay, you can obviously put your questions down here and I will answer those. But tonight I've come up with some few, and I know that some more people will come up with some more questions. And so tonight we're going to talk about how and why you can grow your Christmas or your pressure washing business in 2025. And so that's what we're going to hit on tonight. This weekend, we had a great weekend. We had our Christmas light class. There was about 15, 16 people there. It was awesome. There was a lot of great discussions. There was a lot of great people there. There was Daniel there. There was David Hamill was there. We had awesome people that showed up and that gave value, and it was freaking amazing. I had some really good reviews come back in from it, and so it was really cool to see people wanting to grow their Christmas light business. But tonight, I'm actually going to talk about pressure washing. I want to answer your questions about pressure washing, and so that's what we are going to hit on tonight. But I just kind of wanted to give you what we had talked about at the and some ways that you can grow your business. And so with that, I see we got Mr. Jeremy Olson in the house. How are you doing? If you all have questions, ask your questions so I can answer your question. I'd much rather answer your questions than my question, but if you've got questions, ask them and we will get them answered for you. We got Will Harris in the house. How are you doing? And so the first question that I always get is, Jason, when is the phone going to ring? And I always tell you the phone will start ringing come when you start mowing your grass. And I know if you're in the South or if you're other places, it might not be always the same. But what I have found out over the years is, and this year has been a really late year of people mowing the grass. We're at April 6th or April 13th, and I mowed my grass for the first time just a couple days ago. And I had seen people mowing their grass this weekend. And so I would say that if you've been doing your marketing, if you've got your yard signs out, whatever you have done to grow your business, you should start seeing the phone ring this week. People, it was really nice today. It was 65 degrees, and I've seen lots of people mowing grass this weekend. So that means that they were outside seeing their house and, mowing the grass. A lot of times people are always like, Jason, it's just not, my phone's not ringing, blah, blah, blah. And the reason why your phone's not ringing is because it's cold outside, it's wet outside, it's rainy outside, and nobody is mowing the grass. And so with this here, this is definitely something that it is finally starting to warm up a little bit, and it is starting to get nice out. So this is one of the things that I would tell you to make sure that you have your yard signs out, make sure you have your door, whatever you're doing to do marketing to grow your business. And so that is the very first question that I get asked a lot. The next question is when is the season? When is the peak season for pressure washing? And I'll tell you right now, peak seasons for pressure washing. Now, this depends on where you are a little bit, but for the most people, pressure washing will go anywhere from March, April, and it will usually go all the way up to about June. Once you hit June and July and August, it's actually going to start slowing down again. You will not stay busy in the summertime a lot of times if you've not done your due diligence on making sure that you are doing it, right? Make sure that you are coming in and make sure that you are getting your commercial work, trying to get more commercial work. Maybe you do decks. Decks are a great thing to do in the summertime, but it's definitely important about when you are thinking about how to get more customers. So, and then obviously at the end of August, when kids are finally back in school and people quit spending money on vacations, usually it will start to pick back up in September and October. And depending on where you are, that will be the end of your season for a pressure washing business. Now, if you are down south, then obviously that is a different time. So, again, if you've got questions, ask and I will answer. Will any F9 product groundskeeper remove diesel suet from garage door, and what is the ratio would you use? I would use whatever it tells me to use on it. I'm assuming it would work. I've used EBC on it, or you can use a degreaser. You just got to be careful on which degreaser so you don't take the paint off. But that's what I would use or have used in the past. I've never used Groundskeeper because Groundskeeper came out after I had quit the business basically or sold the business. And so I'm pretty sure Groundskeeper would, but as F9 said, you can download the F9 cookbook on your phone and it will tell you the ratio. I think it's like $2 or $3. It might have went up, but it's not that expensive, and it will also tell you what you need for that also. What do you think about D2D, door to door? I think that it would work. I know it will work. I've got some good friends up in Ohio, up in Springfield, Ohio. My friends, I can't think of his name. Matt and what's her name? Denise? No, it's not Denise. I can't think of her name, but they've done very well in the very beginning of door knocking. Yes, door knocking will work, but it's like anything. You have to be consistent. You have to be relentless, and it will work. It's just one of those things that you have to take action and make it happen. You know, they always talked about, when they did door knocking, that they would go days with nobody, getting no's. And so there is a way of doing door knocking that is better than others. But door knocking will work even for pressure washing. And it will work for Christmas lights because that's what we were just talking about, how Eric got 389 jobs last year doing door knocking. So door knocking does work even for pressure washing also. Peak season will vary February with me to November, but you're also in Myrtle Beach area and you're a lot warmer down there than it is up here. So again, it depends on where you are and all of that good time. Good time to do a text blast. This is a great question. If you're not doing a text blast to all your past customers, you are leaving a lot of money on the table. It is important that you do a text blast. Now, I would probably do a text blast this week. If I was in my location, I would be doing a text blast on Monday because it was beautiful today. Like today was the first day that it wasn't crappy weather. Like literally the first day in a long time that it wasn't crappy weather. A lot of people were out mowing grass. A lot of people were outside looking at their house. And this would be a great time tomorrow to do a text blast. I would either do it tomorrow or the next day. Make sure that you use a system that sends them out like every 5 seconds or 10 seconds. You don't want to just send them out a lot at one time because a lot of the carriers now will shut them down. So that's an important thing that you start looking at. And then the other thing I would say on this here is if you have a big text blast, don't send them all at once. Send some today, send some later, because what's going to happen when you send a big text blast all at once, your phone is going to start in meltdown. Like it's going to just start blowing up. And so it's important that we make sure that it is just sending out every other text blast or whatever and not get too many at one time. So that's what I would tell you to do. There's different text blast messages out there. Text Magic is one. There's a bunch of other ones, but Text Magic is the one that I know. That's really easy. That if you don't have a service, if you have a service like Marquette, then you can do the $10 for the 1 month and send a bunch of text messages out over time period. And you can do it, like I say, you don't want to do bam all at once because then a lot of the carriers are going to be like, this is a spam text, and then it's going to get flagged and it's not going to be good. So that is what you want. Booked out for 2 months for staining. We added fence and deck building. Any suggestions on or good books about scaling up? I have more work than time and labor. So you know what your answer is to this. Your answer is raise your prices, right? You need to raise your prices. You should be at this point. You should be $8 to $10 a foot to clean and seal them suckers. And if you are that, then you need to go up more than that. If you are not that, then you need to go up more, right? And so, because here's the thing, you probably can't hire good people because you're not making, you're doing okay, but you're not making enough that you can pay somebody there. So the very first thing, usually when I do coaching, is I look at your prices, and I'm probably going to tell you to raise your prices. I'm just guessing, but if you're not in that $8 to $10 a foot, you're too cheap, and you need to raise your price because you're closing too many jobs at this point. And so you will close jobs at the $8 to $10 a foot, and that's going to slow you down a little bit, but it's also going to make you more money. And if you are at the $8 to $10 a foot, then go to $10 to $12 a foot, because you are getting to a point that you can only take on so many customers. And so it's not about and here's the thing with staining, you might be 2 months out, you might be 3 months out, because this good old weather can screw you hard being in the staining business. And so, you only got the good days that you can stain. You can't stain when it's raining or going to rain and all of that other crap that goes along with it. So you could be booked out 3 months because you don't know what this weather is going to do to you. So I would tell you to make sure that you are charging properly. Obviously, if you want to grow and scale, you got to be able to charge to be able to pay people in those positions that you are not on the truck. And when you start growing and scaling, the number one thing you got to do is get off the truck. Because if you're on the truck and you're doing a $20 an hour task, then you are not doing the right task that's going to actually grow and scale your business. And I don't care if it's in staining, if it's in Christmas lights, if it's in pressure washing, I don't care what business you're in. It's important that we make sure that we get off the truck. Getting off the truck is probably one of the hardest things to do as a pressure washer, because nobody can do it as good as I can. And we believe that, but that is the biggest lie that we tell ourselves, that nobody can do it as good as I can. And so don't tell yourself that lie, right? Make sure you're not telling yourself that lie, because that is what you have to overcome. And so for you to grow and scale is between your ears. Really, it is. The biggest hurdle for you will be between your ears, and it's you. So this is something that you have to look at. What do I need to do? And then when we want to start growing and scaling, we need to start looking at our numbers, right? What is our average ticket? What is our profit? Can we afford another person? Or do we need to raise it so we can afford another person? And if you're already 2 months out, that means even if you raise your prices now, you're still going off on these cheaper prices, and your higher prices isn't going to come until June and July, right? And so this is where it is for the staining. Even for the deck building, right? If you're doing the deck building, that's fine too. And that's an awesome thing. And the fence, the fence building. And again, do not be afraid to charge, because when we're afraid to charge, because here's the other thing that's probably happening too. You need to get another crew because you're losing money that you're not able to go out and make because people want it done and you're not able to help them out. And so you are actually hurting yourself by not being able to get that out there. So that's just what you want to do for that. Let's see. Have you used any good facility management services to get commercial work? Some charge to get their systems worth it, looking for more commercial and HOA. They are not worth it. I will just tell you that 90%, 95% of them are going to take your money, and it is not going to be worth it. I know a guy here recently that bought them. They were going to get him all of this work, and he paid $4,000, and he didn't make no money back off of it. It's a bunch of baloney and it's not worth it. So that is something that I would just tell you, it is not worth it. If you are wanting to do commercial, you got to do the legwork. You need to get on LinkedIn and start building your LinkedIn. If you don't know how to build your LinkedIn, learn how to build LinkedIn, right? You need to do networking. You need to go start knocking on doors and networking with these people. You need to start finding these property management companies so that way you can find these people that you can use for your finding the facility managers and getting commercial work. Commercial work is a great thing, but you have to be able to find it for you to be able to grow it, right? And so you either do it in person, knocking on doors and going to the property management. So around here in Cincinnati, the big one here is there's two or three of them, but the real big one is Town Properties. So you're going knocking on town properties and you're going there and you're taking donuts and you're taking cookies and you're building relationships. You're not going in there being like, I'm a pressure washer, I'm a pressure washer, I'm a pressure washer. You're going in there to build relationships. And when you build those relationships, they will start using you. And that's the whole key of what we're looking for. There is no magic pill of poof, and here it is. It doesn't work that way. So it takes time, build those relationships, and that is the key of growing this. Hey, Jason, I think I remember you mentioning you have a contact in Fredericksburg that builds rigs. Can you provide the name of the shop? I do not have a guy in Fredericksburg, Virginia that builds rigs that I know of. The guy I know that are in there, he builds signs. Paul Gardner has a huge sign company, not a rig company, like the big signs. Any advice on LinkedIn? Some doubt it really works, does work. Some doubt if it really works. It really works. So if you look up LinkedIn and you go find Benjamin Gregory, he did about $1.8 to $2 million last year in commercial work using LinkedIn. LinkedIn is freaking amazing. Now, LinkedIn is not something that's the short game, right? LinkedIn is not, oh, I'm going to start on LinkedIn and I'm going to start getting this business. I will tell you the LinkedIn is the long game. LinkedIn will take you 1 to 2 years before it really starts kicking in. Yes, you heard that right. 1 to 2 years. So it's not something that it's flashy and you're going to go get it done real quick. It can be, but there's things that we need to look at to make LinkedIn work for us. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to start you're allowed to get 200 contacts per week. So you need to start going in there and finding different property managers, different facility managers, different business owners, and do 200 per week. That's all you're allowed to connect to a week. So you go in there and you start connecting with these people for 200 per week. You post 3 times a week, 3 to 5 times a week, once a day, once every other day. So that's what you're going to start posting. But the ticket to LinkedIn is start commenting on their stuff. You need to start commenting on stuff. So you need to do 5 comments every day on 5 people's different stuff. And that's going to start helping you grow that business quite a bit and start building those relationships. Your goal is to build relationships, right? If you go to knock on doors and you knock on a door and you find these people and you find that they're a property manager and you dealt with them today, then you go find them on LinkedIn and then you send them a message. You send them a video. You want to go one above, you send them a video message. Hey, Mr. Jones, thank you so much for, having me over so we can maybe work together in the future and blah, da, 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 da. Thank you so much, right? And so that's going to set you apart from 99% of the other people there. And so these are things on LinkedIn that you are going to do to be able to grow your LinkedIn and grow your pressure washing business. I love commercial work. Commercial work is definitely by far the best thing out there that's going to set you apart from everybody else. Not everybody can do commercial work. And so What types of relationships are you building? You know, DJ did a $15,000 roof clean last week. He did a $10,000 cleaning on this building 2 years ago, and then last week he did a $15,000. Today he went and did a big garage clean out because of all the mud downtown Cincinnati, and so he was cleaning out the mud there. And so now they're wanting to clean the whole garage. So from one job is going to get him another job. So when you build these relationships, this is important. And a lot of times when you got a facility manager or a property manager of a place like he's at, they have other properties. And so when that is the case, it's going to build you more work and more clients. And so again, commercial properties is definitely what I would be shooting for. When should I start? When should you start commercial outreach? Now. I mean, you got to start now. You got to start now. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And so, and here's the thing. If you can get the commercial, you really want to push it to, obviously, if you got a bunch, you got to do it now. But this is what we really want to push to July and August, because we know that July and August are slow for us on the pressure washing side. So this is a good time that if we can grow this, that we can do this in the July and August. So that is a good time to do it. Can you wash my sins away? Yeah, we can. It might hurt a little bit with the pressure washer, though. Isn't LinkedIn limited to limited on leads, people who are on it? No, it is not. You might be limited in the beginning, but you may have to do the free 30-day to be a sales navigator to get more, but that's a way that we can start using LinkedIn to get more commercial work, because commercial work is where we want to be at. We love commercial work. I love commercial work. So if you all got more questions, definitely put them in the comments and I'll answer them. Otherwise, I'll be coming up here. So here is a question. How many yard signs do I need to put out this year? Here's what I'm going to say, and this got brought up a lot this week, and I've brought it up some other things too. You know, one of the things that you need to look at is when you have something working for you, don't stop it, right? If you are using yard signs and you want to start using Google ads, don't stop the yard signs to do the Google ads, because you know the yard signs are working. Or maybe you're doing Google ads and you want to do something else. And so don't stop what you know that is working to do something else. Like for LinkedIn, if I'm doing yard signs, I'm not going to stop doing yard signs to go all in on LinkedIn. And people do this all the time because what they know that's got them to here, they want to stop that because it takes too much time or it's too much work, versus try to do something new that they don't know that works. Do Google ads work? Sure they do. Do Google ads work everywhere? Maybe not, right? Maybe not, because things change, you know? And so it's important that whatever you do, do it. Now, if you want to add something, okay, we're going to do this yard signs and we're going to add this here. And we're going to add this here. And we're still going to keep doing these other three things, right? Because this is the importance of why you want to make sure that you are doing it. We had a guy in the class this room. He's going to put out 7,500 yard signs this year. Think about that, 7,500 yard signs. How many yard signs are you going to put out this year? You thought 75 was a lot. Think about putting out 7,500 yard signs. But that's just a little bitty thing that he does for marketing. He does all kinds of other things for marketing, right? Because he knows what's going to grow his business. I know what's going to grow your business. Putting out 10 yard signs isn't going to grow your business. Putting out 3 Facebook posts in a week isn't going to grow your business. Doing LinkedIn one time for a month isn't going to grow your business. Right? It's going to be the things that are the little things that are going to grow your business. It's going to be being consistent, being relentless. You know, back to the door knocking up here. if you go knock 10 doors and get told no 10 times, and you come back and tell me it don't work, I'm going to tell you to go knock another 10x that. Go knock 500 doors. Go knock 900 doors. Then come back and tell me that it doesn't work. Because I will promise you it's going to work. Because your sales pitch sucks. Because you don't answer the phone. Because you don't get the quotes out. There's lots of reasons that you might not get jobs at the end of the day. So it's important that we make sure that we are doing the things that we need to do to grow our business. And if you aren't doing those things, then you need to start doing those things. Because unless you're just happy at being broke and not making any money, then we need to start looking at it, right? And here's the other thing. What is your goal? Do you know what your goals are? Do you have a goal? Do you want to be on the truck till you're 105? Or do you want to be able to retire and maybe run the truck and have someone else run the truck? So that's what you want to do. What do you think about putting yard signs up in different cities and areas? A lot of yard signs are still up when I previously put them up. Absolutely. Then put them in, keep putting them up. Get them in a little bit denser. That's awesome that they haven't gotten taken down. That's great. Don't stop, right? And then I might move to a different city so that way they can be put up there. Where are you putting them at? Are they put everywhere, or are you just putting them in where the subdivisions that you want to work in? Are you putting them at the main intersections? Are you putting them wherever, are you putting them at the schools? Are you putting them at the churches? Are you putting them at the busy intersections? So if you're only putting them in places that may not stay there, then maybe we need to put them out more and put more and more out. And if they're staying, that's awesome. Then that makes it life a lot better, because then you ain't got to worry about them getting yanked down or your competitor being stupid and stealing them. So it's just one of those things that, consistency is key. Making sure that we are putting these yard signs out, making sure that we're putting our Facebook pages out, make sure that we are doing the things that we need to do to grow the business. That is the key of growing this business. It's not easy. Some people, everybody wants the easy button. There is no easy button in business. If someone tells you there's an easy button in business, you're in the wrong business. That pressure washing is not an easy business. You got to keep, the thing about pressure washing is you got to keep getting new customers, right? You got to keep figuring out how to do marketing. You got to keep learning. You got to keep growing. You got to keep doing it. A lot of people don't want to do that. They get to a point and they think they know it all. Well, I'll tell you right now, you don't know everything. I promise you, you don't know everything. I don't know everything. And I'm not going to say I do know everything. I know a lot, but I don't know everything, right? And so it's important that we do all the little things. One of the guys brought a bunch of marketing material in of what all he does. And there's like 15 different things that he does, right? 15 different things that he's doing. And it's all the little things that go so far. It's as little as thank you cards. Are you sending thank you cards? Not just after you get the job, but a thank you card when you go to give a quote. Do you give a thank you card when you go give a quote? I bet you probably don't. Do you give a thank you job when the job is over? Most of you probably don't. So it's all of these little things that set you apart from your competitors. And I know it's not easy. Jason, I can't do all that. Well, get off the truck. Start learning. Start growing. That's what you got to start looking at. Where would you put them at? What was the question? Where would you put them? I put them suckers everywhere, right? I'm putting them at busy intersections. I'm putting them when you pull out of McDonald's, when you pull out of Starbucks. I'm putting them at the hospitals. I'm putting them where the doctors park. I'm putting them everywhere. You want to see yard signs everywhere. They're going to be like, there's that yard sign again. There's that yard sign again. I see that yard sign everywhere. Keep it simple on the yard sign. Don't get stupid and put a bunch of crap on it. Keep it simple. We like simple. People love simple. Roundabouts. Roundabouts, public spaces, private. Yes, we're putting them everywhere. We're going to put them bad boys everywhere you see. What's up, Mr. Georgios? Big time is in the house. How are you doing, sir? But again, you know, don't be afraid to go out there and market your business, right? What do you need to do? Maybe you need to start doing videos. Maybe you need to start making shorts. Maybe you need to start doing Facebook Lives. Maybe you need to do something like that. Maybe you need to make sure that you're posting on there. Make sure you're in the groups. It's not easy, but it can be done. And it's just a matter of you got to go out there and get it done. So many people think that it's easy. Pressure washing business is not easy. There's a lot of competitors out there. And guess what? You know what? There's a lot of competitors that will join the group, and then there's a lot of competitors that will go out of business. I promise you. There's a lot of people go out of business. You can find rigs right now on sale real good right now because they started a pressure washing business. They thought it was easy. They didn't think that it would take a whole lot of work, and they just thought that you could just show up and do, and that's what it is. And that's not the case. Start growing this business is hard, and if you get lazy and you get complacent and you just sit there and think that the phone is going to keep ringing, it won't eventually, because they will go somewhere else sometime. So that's why you got to keep working and keep hammering the nail and hammering that sucker. What was your pitch when customers hesitated? Figure out what the problem is, right? What did you not sell them good enough on? Why are they hesitating? Is it because of price? Is it because of they need to talk to their spouse? Is it because you don't know what type of personality they are and you assume one and it's another, right? You don't know how to assess people. You don't know how to hit on their love languages. You don't know how to read people to know that, hey, this person is a type S personality and they're slow to answer and a lot of times won't make the answer the first time when you go. These are all important things that you got to start looking at. People don't realize that the 5 love languages is a way to get customers, especially if you're going in person. If you're doing it online, it's a little bit different. But if you're going in person, you better know what the 5 love languages are and how to hit on those 5 love languages. You better know how to do this profile and profile people so you can be like, this person's a type S. This is what I need to do. I need to sit there and talk to this person. This type of person is a type D and they don't want me to, I just got to get it done, right? I got a GSD. And so it's important that we understand how people are and what people want. And when we do that, it will help you a whole bunch. Oh, sorry. Hey, Jason. Let's see. Guys, don't throw away your small portable pressure washers. They have a small but a rare use. But it's laughing out loud. Thanks for the super chat. If I can get this question to come up. Maybe. What is even harder as a business is to stay in business for more than 5 years. And it's like a 40%, 50% fail rate. Maybe more, I think it's more than that. I think it's like a 60% fail rate. So it is hard to stay in business more than 5 years because you get burned out and you don't have the systems, and it's a lot harder to keep growing and keep going. And when you've been in the industry 12 years, it's even harder. And it's one of those things that people are going to come and go, and it's, where do you want to be at? What is your goal? Do you know what your goal is? Because everybody's goals are different. Some people want to make $1 million. Some people are happy if they can get to 200,000 or 300,000, and they're happy there, that's fine. That's okay. So what is your goal? I remember when I started, I would have only one driveway or house wash for the day. I would go all around that block just to finish. The Joneses were running a neighborhood special. It worked, right? And when you go knock on doors and you've done the neighbor's house, then guess what? Then you can be like, hey, I did Miss Jones' house and now it looks clean and amazing. Do you want yours done? Right? And you can use that. Now, if you just get in your truck and go back to your house and you're like, man, how do I get my phone to ring? That's not going to get your phone to ring. I promise you that it will not get your phone to ring. It's hard to get the phone to ring. And then once you get the phone to ring, make sure you're answering the stupid thing because it's more important that you answer it than getting it going. There ain't nothing worse that you try to get your phone to ring and then you don't answer it. It's something that I see it all the time. And, you would be surprised how many people are like, oh my God, you're the first person to answer the phone out of 10 people. It's amazing how that works. Jason, I was serious about keeping portables. We are on a mega job tomorrow. I'm going to use a 4-gallon a minute per minute machine, a half for a young man. He's going to do nothing but wash all the brick walls. That sounds like a lot of fun. Not. I remember those days. Don't we love those big jobs? Have you ever, it has been your biggest job? That's what I'd ask you all. What's been your biggest job? What was your biggest job that you've done? Mine was 50 grand. We did a $50,000 job. Benjamin Gregory did a $167,000 or $170,000 job 2 years ago. So, and then he's made more money on top of that from that same job. So, and then that's not even looking at the lifetime value of a customer. So how much does most customers do? I do 1 or 2 small jobs a day, but I'm not cheap either, right? That's the best way to do it. At least if you're going to work, go out and get paid for it. That's the key to it. So if you're not doing that, then raise your prices. Well, Jason, you just don't understand. You can't raise my prices. Oh, I understand. You can. You just don't believe you can. You don't want to. You're afraid to hear no. You're afraid to, I don't know what you're afraid of. So many contractors suck. Don't answer the phone. Don't give a quote. Have no follow-up sequence. Easy to separate yourself by doing it, and it's free. Yup. That's the biggest part of it. So we have this mega job we're doing, the church, which is about 12,000 square feet and all of the sidewalks. That sounds like fun. I like doing those big churches because they got money too. Did you know that? They got a bunch of money. A bunch of those mega churches do. So don't be afraid to charge them. Well, Jason, it's a big church. Okay, what are you talking? What are you saying? Right? What's your point? Go charge for it. Don't be afraid to charge for it. My son has been fleet washing for a year now, and he wants me to start up a mobile fleet washing. Would it be worth it? It could be. It's definitely, it takes a lot more work than house washing, and it don't pay as good as a lot of times, but you can make a lot of money doing fleet washing, and if you get into it right, it's hard. This weekend's been long for me. It's a lot of work, but it can definitely be done. You can hire people out to do it. I've got a good friend up in Michigan. He makes a killing off of fleet washing. He has about 3 or 4 trucks go out every day. Makes a freaking killing up in Transverse, Michigan. At the top up there in Michigan. Great guy. But he makes a killing off of it. Travels all over. He doesn't travel all over. He has employees travel all over and clean vehicles all up in upper Michigan. So, and he does makes very well at it. So, great guy too. But what other questions you all got? Again, this weekend was amazing. You all missed it. If you haven't thought about doing Christmas lights, it was a lot of fun. We did permanent lights and we did Christmas lights. We had Eric Beck there doing door-to-door stuff, which was awesome. And We had we had Daniel there. His first year in Christmas Lights, he did $179,000. Last year, he did over $500,000. We had David Hamill there. He does a couple $1 million. It was awesome to see the people there. We had Justice there. Justice. He's a really cool kid. About 2 years ago, he came to my first class, and I always tell people, if you come to my class and you do half what I say, and just take action, you'll make anywhere from 30 to 100,000. I've had people from there all the way up, and he was struggling. He was struggling in the pressure washing business. He was broke. He was poor, and so I went, and first thing, because I was listening to his business and he was telling me his prices on stuff, and the first thing I told him is raise your prices, right? And so he did. And so I told him to double his prices. That's how low he was. And he did. And guess what? 2 years later, he done very well for himself. He did over $100,000 in pressure washing and like $150,000 in Christmas lights by doing the things that we talked about. And now he came to class again, right? He come back again to another Christmas light class because he wanted to learn the door-to-door and he wanted to learn the permanent lights. But he still learned stuff on the Christmas light side that he took before. And that's the whole point of it, right? That's what I'm getting at. Let's see. I work less than and ever and make tons, not brag. I work less now than ever and make tons, not bragging. Found my niche after getting past being stubborn and started listening to people like you. You know, old Sterling Wash, if you go back about, shoot, I bet that's been 3 or 4 years ago. I was in Santa Claus, Indiana, and he posted on here, and he's been in business a long time. Sterling Wash has been in business a long time, and so he comes on several times, and he was talking about how you can't make money and can't get over $100,000, and I kind of went off on him on that episode. But look, now he's making money, right? And that's what I want to do. I want to help you grow your business. I don't want you to work like a dog and not be able to do anything. That's not my goal for you. My goal is to make you, work less, make more money, and that's the whole point. And when you find your niche like that, that's even better. That's when you can really focus and be great at something and not do a lot of work and make a lot of money. And if you don't want to grow and scale to, 2-3 people, that's fine. You don't have to. And that's the cool thing about this, right? You can do whatever you want to do. It's not something that you have to, well, Jason, no, you can do whatever you want to do. That's the awesome thing about this pressure washing business and this Christmas light business is if you do it right, you can have time freedom, you can have financial freedom, you can have all that stuff. It's just a matter of you got to go out there and, one of the things that people look at is they think that you know it all, and you don't know it all. I promise you don't know it all. I don't care how long you've been in business. You don't know it all. And if you think you know it all, you're going to be stuck there. And that's not a good spot to be stuck at. So that's something that you got to start thinking about. Been in business for 17 years. I knew it was a long time. Some of you are, one of the guys in my class this weekend, he was only 16. So you've been in business longer than he's been alive. So that's even more crazy. How would you go about acquiring fleet washing clients? Apologies if you answered this previously. A lot of this is door knocking, going and knocking on doors, and also doing LinkedIn. Both of those, knocking on doors and LinkedIn. Go knock on doors and find people, and you're just trying to figure out those people, and that's what you got to do to be able to make that happen. It's not always easy, but it's definitely what you got to do to make that happen. What's your favorite success story for someone you coached? I got lots of success stories. My favorite one is Jeremy and Jennifer. Jeremy was a garbage man, literally throwing garbage on the back of a truck, making $60,000 a year. And so in 2020, he started. He came to one of my in-person trainings. He had just started his pressure washing business and went full time in August. And then in the end of October, he came to the class, and I had told him he could do $30,000, $30,000 to $50,000. On the way back to them going back to Michigan, we had this class up in Cleveland. He told Jennifer that I was crazy, and he ended up doing $32,000 that year. In 2024, he ended up hitting $1 million, and I've been coaching him all the way through, and he hit $1 million this past year, which is freaking amazing. So that's probably one of my favorite success stories. I have lots of success stories that I have. That's one that he's a really good friend of mine, and he listens and they take action, and that's what's cool about it. So, it is one. I have other success stories. Like I say, Justice, and I don't know them all. That's the thing. I don't always know all the success stories, but when I seen Justin come back, the difference between Justin sitting in the class 2 years ago and the difference this time, 2 years ago, he was literally scared to death, literally sitting in the chair, scared to death, because he wasn't making a lot of money. And, he was kind of sitting there looking, and, and this time he's like big and bold and excited, and, bringing the kids, and they got to go swimming, and it was just awesome. Just awesome. So that's the difference between changing your mindset, changing the way you start thinking, right? When you start changing the mindset, and when you start changing, and most of our class this weekend, a lot of it, I talked a lot about mindset, because mindset is the thing that's going to hold you back. If you don't believe you can do it, you'll never do it. You'll never do it. If you don't believe it, you'll never do it. He was fired up. He was fired up. He was awesome. Eric Beck said he was fired up, and it was awesome. He was, and he was excited. And I love when people get excited. Just bought my second truck. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. 3 people now. So, see, when I talked to him, it was him and a helper. And then I helped him out and got him going there. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you remembering my story. Flattering. I do remember your story. For sure. I was working a dead-end job for 4 years ago, and Jason got me washing. And this past Friday, I just finished replacing all the decks on an apartment complex. That's awesome. That sounds like a lot of work. How do you go from 30,000 to $1 million in 4 years? Well, taking action, right? Growing a business, figuring out the marketing, figuring out your pricing, growing a business, not being afraid to charge, not, those are the things that you got to do. Take action. Figuring out your numbers. What is your number? What's your average ticket? What's your close rate? How do we get more leads? What's the top thing that's bringing in more jobs? How can we 10x that? Right? That's where people get in trouble is they want to 10x. They don't ever think about 10xing nothing, right? Hey, you know what? I made $100,000 off of yard signs. All right, how can I 10x that? No, how can I do this and this and this and this? And I want to do my website, and I want to do all these other things. And I agree that some of that's important, but how do I 10x the yard signs? How do I 10x the website? If I do a website, how do I 10x it? Do I just put one blog out there a month, or do I do 10 blogs a month? Do I do 10 blogs a week, right? How do I 10x something? How How do I blow that up? How do I put out 20 yard signs, or do I go put out 200 yard signs a week or a month? You know, if you're only putting out 100 yard signs a month, then how do I double that? How do I triple that? How can I get more money off of more yard signs? Right? And it's everything. Is it, you know, are you spending money in Google Ads? Do you have a follow up system? Do you have a person that's answering the phone? Do you have people that are riding the truck? Those are all questions that you got to start looking at and thinking about. And yes, mindset is key. Top forms of marketing in addition to LinkedIn and door to door. Yard signs, Google Business Profile, SEO, website, search engine optimization, Google Ads, Google Local Service Ads, all of those things that you can do. I'm not a big Facebook fan for pressure washing. I can't tell you a business that I know that's made $100,000 by having Facebook ads running. I can show you businesses that make $100,000 off of yard signs. I can show you businesses that made it off of LinkedIn. I can show you businesses that done it off of Facebook, as in organic Facebook, not paid ads Facebook, right? I can show you Bobby Duncan that does $500,000 off of Facebook and Facebook groups and hammering the Facebook. Now, there's other things that he's doing, but that's kind of what it is. So, but what other questions? I got a few minutes left here. You know, I haven't. I don't know if I'm going to put any more Christmas or pressure washing classes on for in person for pressure washing this year. I'll probably do some next year. But if you want to join King of Pressure Wash, we have a Monday night Zoom call in there. I also give you the steps to be able to get to $1 million. We get into the Zoom call. We come in and we teach you different types of marketing on these Monday night Zoom calls. There's a lot of really outstanding people that you should need. You know, the one way you get to $1 million is get around other people that are there, and there is other people there that hit $1 million in these Zoom calls. You know, and you got people like Rick. You know, you get to hear people like Rick, right? Rick sent me a message this week, so we might as well listen to Rick's message because it's a great message, and sometimes you need to hear these messages. And you know, Rick went from making $150,000 to almost over $500,000 in 2 years because he came into the membership. He started raising his prices. He started listening to what he needed to do, and that's how he was able to do it. And so that's the importance of what you got to do, right? So you got to make sure that you're doing it. Let's see if you'll hear it.
I forgot you have training. Shit, sorry to bother you. But listen, you better listen. Make sure your class hears this. You better listen. Don't be a cheap bastard. You better charge. Do not go cheap. Don't be like everyone else, or you'll be out of business. Listen to me. You tell him that. Did you order the price? You're damn right I did.
Right? So that's the importance. And he learned and he's grown. What's the big difference between Google Ads and Google Local Service Ads? Well, Google Ads is a click. Google Local Service Ads is a phone call. Google Local Service Ads is anywhere from about $20 to $30. Google Click is anywhere from about $10 to $20 per click. Generally, it takes 3 clicks to get a lead. So that's the difference between a lead and the clicks. Most of the time, people don't know when to shut up and listen and learn and what is told, not turned around or do something else. Yep. You know, and a lot of times your customers will tell you what they want if you'll just shut up and listen. People make too many excuses for what they haven't done versus what they could have done. Yep. Can I use a 420 motor with an 8-gallon pump? I mean, you can, but it's going to be everything on that pump that it's going to want. You said once, I think, that you took your unloader hose and ran it into the ground to keep the pump to keep the pump cool. When I'm doing fences and decks, I don't need a big 8 to 10 gallon a minute. I'm running the 4-gallon MTM. Yes, you can do that. If you only have the pressure washer and you don't have a buffer tank and you're only like pulling it to the deck or the fence, you can absolutely just take that hose off and just run it into the landscape. And then that way, when it goes into it, it'll just go into bypass mode and shoot it out into the grass instead of sitting there cycling and then get overheated and then burn up. So that's the cool thing that you can do with that, for sure. So with that, hopefully you all, I know this week the phone should start ringing for you guys if you put your signs out. I know it's starting to ring for other people. This week, this Saturday kind of sucked, but today was awesome and amazing. And so I'm really good I think you have a question, Kimberly. I haven't seen you on in a while. If you have a question, answer it. But I think it will help you, and you will see that people will start calling for the pressure washing. So it is definitely something that as we get into the pressure washing season, it's going to start up here as we speak. So that should be taking off any day now for that. And so it is definitely something that if you do this, it's going to start working. Make sure you're putting out your yard signs. Make sure you're doing your Facebook. Make sure you're doing all the things you need to do to keep that phone ringing. And not only that, but make sure that you answer the phone. It is very important that you answer the phone. A lot of people won't answer the phone, and that's not a good thing to do at all. Most people already know that I'm disabled, and that is not an excuse as a solo business operator working the week and making $300,000, right? That is pretty awesome. Good time. I answered this question earlier, but I'll answer it again. Good time for a text blast, I would say this week. This week would be a good time for a text blast. The weather was nice today. People got outside. People are looking at their house. I would say tomorrow or Friday would be a good time to send it and get it out there. So with that, I'll be back on next on Sunday nights for pressure washing, Wednesday nights for Christmas sites or marketing, either one. If you want to know when I go live and you want to text, you can sign up for the text. And if you text the word King, King, to, that's not where you want to go to. You can text the word King, King, to 859-696-1101. Also, if you go to King of Pressure Wash, sign up for the membership. You can jump on our Zoom calls on Monday night. You'll learn lots of stuff, be around very successful people. When I first started this group on Wednesday or Monday night, it was for new people, but now it's more of a kind of a group of people that come every week that's been coming for months and years, and people getting in there and learning and growing their business. And so it is definitely something that you need to do. What did you just put here? Did you really need social media to bring in business? You don't need it. It's not like something you need, but it can definitely help. It can definitely help you. So that's what I would say on that. But other than that, I hope you all have a great week, and we'll talk at you all later.